Hello, beautiful souls. I am so excited to be here for this week's Message Monday, and I'm just working on getting everything, there we go, set up so I can watch and knock down my bottle of oils there. But there's a lot that we're going to be talking about today, and excuse me while I get everything set up here. It should be a lot easier than this, but it is. It is a little process. Okay, how is everyone feeling this week? I feel like I know last week we talked about the themes of curveballs and some unexpected shifts and changes to plans. And this is something that even going into last week, I was already hearing from, hi, Betty, good to see you. Thank you so much for watching. But I was already hearing from clients and friends and also having my own personal experiences around just the really fast current of energy and things not quite going to plan, things really shifting on a dime and how to navigate that. And the sense that I had was that one, there was a lot of purging last week, and some may have even had some physical, literal purging, right? So just notice for yourself what was and maybe still in the process of releasing, because there really was a lot of release in last week. And also for those of us that maybe had some unexpected events, some curveballs, some upheavals, what emotions came to the surface? Because I feel in that too there was a lot of frustration, anger, maybe grieving. And it feels like things are still in process. And my sense was as we were heading into the solstice that there would be kind of this feeling of almost taking this energetic shower and just a lot of the gunk, like any kind of remnant and from anything that was remaining to be really washed away. And through that, to step through this solstice portal, just feeling more empowered and embodied. And yet, there's still a lot happening in the collective energy and some more curveballs that happened on a global scale over this last weekend. And so, as I was connecting today, hi, Betty. So you saw me at the market. I was busy. I know I saw you too. And I was like, I hope she comes over. And then I think I was with somebody. Thank you so much. And I know we'll see each other soon. But okay, going back. So yes, feeling into the energy today, it feels as though we are in the aftermath of something. And the imagery I was given is almost like in a war, like almost like a bomb was dropped, and there's like that period of hearing like that high pitched noise in the ear, and like the vision is blurry, and there's just this sense of total disorientation. And not just in the state, in the sense of what we're perceiving, but also like in the body, just completely disoriented. And it really feels as though there's this energy of walking between or even straddling various realms, and where things just aren't yet concrete, things haven't landed. And so I just want to say to this, it's honestly still in process, and it is very much connected to the global energy, the collective energy. And I feel some of us are feeling this more intensely than others. So there's this guidance to have extra grace and care for yourself. If you maybe even notice, perhaps you woke up this morning and just felt heavy, or maybe a bit down or depressed, or like there was a sense of grief, or maybe anger, or maybe even anxiety. This energy may be present. Some of you may be like, what is she talking about? That's great. That's awesome. Again, nothing wrong there. It's not preferred state either way. But for those that may be having a sense of heaviness, grief, anxiety, disorientation, it may feel even more potent than it had last week, almost like we're waking up from, again, like that state of almost being unconscious, coming back into consciousness, or having been asleep and still coming out of a dream. it's like this it's hard for me honestly to put it into words, but it's like being in between two places at once, not here nor there, in many different ways. And so there's this guidance to have extra grace with ourselves, to really pay attention this week. I'm they're underlining this for me too. They're like, are you listening as you're channeling this? This is often the case, whereas I'm sharing messages with all of you, they're for me too. But pay extra attention to what we physically need this week, what we emotionally need this week. There is this highlight of really opening to receive nourishment. And this may feel extra challenging actually, because like we talked about last week, the current of energy is super intense. Really, things are moving forward. And for many of us, that also may be in a concrete way where we have a lot on our plates, where we may be juggling multiple things, or maybe there's, deadlines that are, I know I'm experiencing this. They've given me a lot of inspiration of here's what you're going to do this summer and into the fall. I'm like, yay, I'm excited. And it feels urgent. It feels like I'm having this awareness of, okay, I see all these things that I'm called to do. I'm excited to do them. That may or may not be the case for some of you. There may be, maybe you're not excited about what's on your plate, but very much that pressure to get things done. And I'm noticing even how that is feeling in my body, which is like, okay, I feel where these things need to be done now, but I'm also feeling the energy that is moving through me in the collective. And so there's really this tension between feeling the need and maybe even the desire or almost forced to, given deadlines, to get out and to produce and to do, and then simultaneously our emotional bodies may be like, no, 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 like I need to rest, I need to cocoon, I'm feeling this grief, I'm feeling this for anger, I need to process this. And so what I'm hearing is there's not necessarily a resolution. What we are opening to is how to honor wherever we are at any given moment, being aware of what we need. And again, they're really underlying the physical nature of this, where we need to physically be nourished, because we're almost in some ways in this tension being put to a sort of test, not like spirits testing us, but more like this is an opportunity for healing and growth kind of vibe, right? Where we get to pay attention to where aren't we taking care of ourselves? What part of us is saying, no, I need to get this list of things done. I need to go do this for this person and that for that person and stay on top of it and get them to that sporting event or whatever it is, right? Versus, no, I also need a moment to pause. Oh, you know what? This week I do feel that heaviness. I really need to ask for some support. I really need to see if someone else can take my kid to the game or whatever it might be, right? Or if I can delegate this task that, for this time sensitive item at work, delegate it to someone where maybe normally I wouldn't. Or I just need to go out at lunch and I need to take a walk and just be in the sunshine. Even with this long list of things to do, that takes priority, right? So there's in this chaos, there's this new way of how we operate in it that's opening. And we talked about this last week, right? Where they gave the vision of like that current of energy where we're in this river and it's like, holy cow, the water is going so fast. It's overwhelming. But that we can create almost like with the Sacred Mother, she was helping us to create this pool of nourishment. So like in the chaos, we can kind of cocoon, but still be in that flow at the same time. And again, I know when I say that, my brain's like, well, what does that even mean? But that's what we're opening to. And this is all connected to a new way of being. It's neither here nor there. It's something that's blending the worlds, bringing in something new, a new way of operating. And so open to what this is for you. Pay attention to what you need. Open to maybe asking for support and receiving support in whole new ways. This is a theme that's across the board coming in all the time, this idea of receiving, what that looks like, what that feels like. I'm just checking in because I feel like there's more that they want me to share around that feeling of disorientation as well. Some of the urgency we're also feeling is with the shifts that are happening collectively, this call to action, like we are being called to duty. And that is there to some degree. What we are actively healing is helping us to expand and show up fully in our power. So that was the other thing too. There's a lot of ancestral healing that's happening this month, but in that as well, we're reclaiming ancestral gifts. For those of you that are local, a soul sister of mine, we're co-facilitating a sound healing experience on Wednesday where we're really going to be working deeply with these energies of releasing the ancestral patterns that no longer serve us and reclaiming the gifts. The reason I'm sharing it is because that's also very much of what is underway in this week, and a little bit about what's disorienting. In fact, for me, it's felt almost like I feel like a snake shedding its skin, and it is the year of the snake, but it feels super intense this week. So there's this guidance around how can we be in the both, and how can we allow for that shedding, allow that space, and also notice where we're called to work with that energy and moving forward. How can we breathe through these frequencies without maybe having clear vision, with having some sensations of that disorientation, right? Noticing where we want to control the energy too, where we want to make it clear, where we want to understand, because that's also part of what we're healing. Sometimes and oftentimes we're really not meant to control it, right? But even in that, like, what in that desire to control is highlighting where we might be feeling disempowered, and then where are we opening then to create a sense of empowerment where perhaps in the past we would be disempowered. There's more to that. But they're wanting me, I should say, and they're wanting me to segue into a client of mine requested that I share a bit of information about the soul senses. And actually, I feel this is a really powerful tie-in for what the energy is this week, and I love how that works. And I'm grateful, and this client is also a member of this community, so grateful for him that he reached out and asked this question, because it's exactly what I'm talking about. When you guys have questions, send them in. And he was asking for himself personally, but I was like, hey, this is something that I feel would really be supportive for other people to hear about and for us to process in a live. Can I share it? Can I answer it there? And he's like, sure, go ahead. So here I am. But it ties into this navigating how this week we may feel a little disorientation. Fear is another. They're like, don't forget a fear. So fear is another emotion that may be coming up too, with everything happening collectively. So in that disorientation, in that fear, in those waves of emotion, whatever they may be, that fear, that anger, grief, many things in between, how can we most nourish ourselves? How can we take care of ourselves? Okay, Shelly, you're being guided to tell us to pay extra attention to what we need. Well, how do we create that, and what does that look like? So a large part of that actually is honoring our physical senses first, okay? And so embody the sacred, or sacred feminine embodiment work. A key part of this work, and this is where I take women through the 9 sacred feminine rites of passage, and each month we focus on one rite of passage. Well, with every single module, so for the women that receive certification to be soul doulas and practitioners of sacred feminine embodiment work, every single month, the modality, or excuse me, the modules that I offered, which shared about that rite of passage, where the gaps are, how we can guide women to reclaim and to mend that gap for themselves, but also for the greater whole, like greater collective. The 5 senses were part of the practice, and embodiment is part of the practice. Like, you can't, and part of how you experience embodiment is through the 5 senses. So each month there were different ways where we could bring in or activate the physical senses in various forms. And even when I created the gift bags for the retreat at the end of the course, one of the things I was guided is like, I need something in these gift bags that's going to activate each one of those 5 senses. Now, what's the importance of activating our 5 senses? Well, one of the things I channeled, and why this is key in embodiment work and sacred feminine embodiment work and the reclamation of the rites of passage, is that when we activate our 5 senses, we activate our soul senses, and we gain clearer access to our soul senses. And so, of course, when I'm talking about the 5 senses, we have, sight, touch, taste, smell, and hearing, right? I think I got them all. But when we are able to create an environment where we can activate each of those, all 5 of the senses, it can really be a portal for us then to connect more deeply into our bodies, and our soul in our body, to help ground and calm our nervous system. And then through that, we enter into this state where a portal opens for us to activate the soul senses. Now, the soul senses are numerous. And perhaps some of the ones that we may be most familiar with are the different clairs. So, claircognizance, such as clear knowing, clairsentience, being able to feel energetically, what someone's emotions might be, or just that sense of, even like I'm saying, there's disorientation happening right now, right? That clairsentience, clairvoyance. So, being able to see pictures. In your mind's eye, or even being able to see someone's, physically, someone's aura right around them when they're in the room physically with you, or to see spirits, right? And those are just a few. There's many different clairs. But essentially, these are senses that we access through our soul. Telepathy can be one, even telekinesis, I'm hearing, remote viewing, right? Astral projection, actual astral traveling. There's many different soul senses. But when we activate our physical senses, it helps us to recalibrate the nervous system, helps us to feel safe being in our bodies. Now, especially if we're activating the soul senses, the 5 physical senses in an intentional way. So in sacred feminine embodiment work, often that could be by creating some sort of ceremony or ritual or practice. Like, for example, let's say something that it can be very empowering in terms of reclaiming a rite of passage is to journey into that rite of passage, but imagine it in a way that is empowering. So essentially redream it into being, and heal internally the parts of you that may be longing for having that experience. So an example could be in the rite of passage of birth, if someone is aware, or if it was channeled in a session, right, that when they were born, they were whisked away and put in an incubator, or something away from their mother. They never got to have that physical touch, being held by their mom. Maybe even because of a health issue that they had or that she had, they were separated. And so there's this, maybe not be a conscious longing, but in the physical body, in that rite of passage and that experience, this desire to be held, this desire to have that closeness, this feeling of then also that separation, and the physical anxiety, fight, flight, etc. mode, all the alarm bells going off at the time of birth, of not having that connection and that nourishment and nurture that was so desperately needed. And this can leave an energetic imprint on the body, right? And so if you're assisting someone to heal that rite of passage, let's say you're helping them with hands-on healing, and the angels and guides, we're channeling a journey or experience where they get to safely, right? Because we don't want to re-traumatize. And when I'm channeling and working with angels and guides, there is always the guidance as to how to create this container in a way that doesn't trigger, right, but helps to really bring it in a safe and empowering way to help heal things. So for example, I may guide someone into that rite of passage, into that birth experience, and yet this time they get to envision their parents present, or at the very least their mother present, as her highest self, right? So she's in this state, giving birth, free of her own wounding, and there's a space in the healing where then, as the person I'm working on, who was a baby at the time, being born, gets to be born in the way that feels most empowering to them. What was that highest, what would the highest state of birth and that experience be for them? And the angels and guides describe that, and the person receiving the healing feels that, and it activates within them and heals the wounds where maybe they have felt that separation, or that fear of not receiving nourishment, not receiving support. But a way to enhance this experience, or even if this is something that you feel called to do on your own, is to activate those physical senses. So it could be with sound healing, singing bowls, gentle meditative type music in the background, or in the work that I do, I may be guided to channel a song as that person is going through that reclamation. We may bring in the sacred feminine anointing oil to activate their sense of scent, right? They might have a soft blanket, or even flower petals, or something that they themselves can just feel on their skin, something soft, something, or even like wrapping a blanket around themselves, feeling the energy of the womb, but in a way that feels safe and warm and nourishing and nurturing. what am I missing? Vision, right? So it could be if their eyes are open, like looking at something beautiful, or even in their mind's eye, again, visioning this experience that's more nourishing. So I'm proud. Oh, taste. Well, that's a creative one. And I will say that sometimes, but if you're doing a sort of ritual or ceremony for yourself and you're looking to bring in, whether it's something like I described or something else, right? Maybe it's like some chocolate or tea or infused water or fruit, something from nature, something from the earth, maybe a tincture that is especially something that is healing for you, or you feel a sense of upliftment. But bringing in the senses helps to take us into the body. And it is really in the body where we access the soul senses. And I think this is also something that might be new for people to hear, because I think often, and I've had clients come to me for this before, like, I want to astral travel. I want to, have an out of body experience. And I'm like, okay, yes, I get it. And we can hear about stories of these grand spiritual experiences, and sometimes it is where someone is out of the body and maybe even bypassing what is present in the body, as having like the almost like an escapism experience, right, where they're connected with spirit and then taken out of the trauma and the heaviness and the density of the body, which I think is often, even at one point in our spiritual teachings, what was considered, nirvana or enlightenment, or like the end all be all, if we don't, to escape the body essentially. And yet I feel that this has shifted. And if we are Ruatna, which is the fifth symbol, if we are heaven on earth, the goal isn't to escape our body. The goal is actually to be in the body and activate the heaven that we are within the physical body and upon the physical earth. And so the physical senses is a key part of that. It can help bring us into the body, especially when done intentionally, when done, I'm going to bring in these different things to activate my senses, to bring me into the body, to help me feel safer in the body. And then through this, I can go on this beautiful meditative or shamanic journey. I can open to the messages my angels and guides have for me. It also helps us to get out of the mind, right, which is often where we shut down those messages because we doubt what we're hearing is actually a message. Oh, I just want to hear that, or oh, I'm just making that up, right? It helps us to come back where we're more into our soul that is in the body, and then we also begin to soften that judgment, soften that doubt, and open to the experience that isn't really happening out of our body. It's happening very much in our body. And it's the reminder that we are one with creation, we are one with God in the body, as well as out of it. But here, as we are humans, like it's about experiencing that in the body. I'm curious what questions may may come up with this. If you have any, I know there's some of you watching, some of you have been popping on and off. But if you have any questions and you're watching the recording as well, let me know what those questions might be. This is a topic, honestly, that it has much more depth to it, and I'm just giving you like little tiny nuggets from a much broader scope of information that I share in my course, and it may be something too that we dive into a bit. In the coming weeks, I'm doing both an in-person here in Richland, Washington, but also a virtual Seraphim Quantum Healing and Embody the Sacred Feminine 101. So, we'll talk about some of these concepts more. We're going to go through the 5 Seraphim symbols, a little bit about the different elements or components, rather, of each symbol, and a bit about some of the wisdom and teachings of each one. We're also going to go through what are the 9 sacred feminine rites of passage, and what's the significance of those and the reclamation of those. And so we can also talk a bit more about the 5 senses and the soul senses, but it's all a way to activate our intuition and our connection with source, and to have that greater sense of empowerment in our soul purpose and mission as well. And so I share this, and I feel again that it's so timely for it to come up, this question to come up this week, because I feel that having this awareness around the power of the 5 senses will help us to feel a greater sense of groundedness, clarity, and peace in amidst the chaos and the disorientation. I feel like So they showed me that vision of like, again, like this bomb going off and like that haziness, that disorientation. But then it's like bringing in the five senses helps us to then get that clarity. Now, nature is an incredible getting out in nature is an incredibly powerful way to activate the five senses and to feel that groundedness and to be more in our bodies. So that's something first and foremost they're saying and they're encouraging us to do this week, even if it's for a short time, even if it's going out and putting your feet on bare feet on the ground or sitting on, on the grass for 5 minutes. And that might be something too that is really powerful to just say you're working in between meetings, you just step outside, even if you're in an office building and it has to be on the concrete sidewalk or in the parking lot, but you just between meetings you take some deep breaths, you feel that sun on your skin, and you go back in. It's almost like this microdosing, right? But like really powerful microdosing, for again very simple things, but it's really what we need. It's what we need. And then they're adding community, and this is something that we know, this is something I feel I talk about every week. There's a reason for it, because in what is happening in the chaos in the collective, there can be a automatic response of not trusting, of wanting to shut down, of wanting to turn away, of wanting to separate. And it can really trigger that trauma response. And it's not to force yourself if you are having some of that experience, right, where you want to cocoon or hibernate or just turn within. That may be very well needed, and that is beautiful. And bring in those five senses to help you feel more nourished in that. And notice, right? Okay, this might be how I typically react. And yet, what would it be like for me to open to receive some connection? Is there even one person I could reach out to that might feel like a safe person to be able to help me breathe through this? Would it be supportive for me to go to that community event, right? And to open up to how I'm feeling and what I'm processing, but maybe open to other people having that same experience. Maybe there'll be something in that connection that will help me to actually feel more safe and empowered, and to shift how I react in situations like this, where I no longer want to turn away, but actually I open and turn toward, right? So, and there's a lot more to that, but just opening to where you might receive potent nourishment from community in unexpected and expected ways this week. And maybe community, but also maybe new community. This is key to us healing through this time, and also creating what we're here to create. And it is breathing through the fear and through the chaos and through the disorientation, and also having open dialogue about it. Yeah. Okay. Let's just take a few moments. In this moment, you have everything you need. In this moment, you are held. In this moment, you remember that you are not alone, that it is safe to open, that it is safe to receive, that it is safe to show love towards yourself, even when there may be parts of you that want to shut down, that want to hide. Even in the unknown, there too can be peace. And this peace comes perhaps most profoundly when you remember that you are not alone. So just take a few moments to breathe deeply all the way into your root chakra, to feel the Sacred Mother holding you, to feel your angels, your guides, your healed ancestors holding you. For some of you, there is comfort in imagining that your spirit animal or spirit animals are with you, that you can feel. Perhaps if it's one with fur, just that you're petting that animal, feeling that warmth of the animals, or perhaps their power, sustaining you, bolstering you. But breathing into as well those humans that are in your life, those that you may know already, those that you are opening to now meet, the community and the healing that is done in community. We are rewiring our nervous systems, our neural pathways to open where we have once closed. To breathe deeply in those moments where perhaps we would have gone into rapid and shallow breathing. To breathe deeply. To come into the body in those moments where in the past we may have jumped out of it. There truly is a shift happening within us. Many of us feel as though we are being rewired to brave the storm. Perhaps we have more power than we realize to shift the energy of the storm itself. This begins within ourselves. Breathing and opening, golden light coming into the top of the crown, the third eye, the throat, the heart, the solar plexus, sacral chakra, root chakra, all the way down through the bottom of the feet. Breathing deeply. Opening as this light moves through your body, as a disorientation begins to settle. Allowing the emotions as they move through. Getting curious, what is at the root? Is this your emotion? Is this someone else's? Is this in the collective energy? Are you just picking up on it? But no matter where the energy comes from, this opportunity to provide, to receive whatever you need in that moment. To gift this to yourself. This gift of receiving in whatever form it may take. This is key as we navigate this week. This is key as we open to the energy of the new moon, which is very much like pressing the refresh button. What do you wish to refresh in your life? What has come up in the last week, in these last days, or even this morning, that is perhaps alerting you to some things that need a bit of a refresh, rebirth, revamp? We are empowered in this reset. We are empowered in this rebirth. And this is happening at both micro and macro levels. We are ready for it. So honor as well between now and into the new moon. What further release may be needed? What further purging may we be going through? What are we hoping to expand into on the other side? This visioning is key, as well as the permission again to receive whatever is needed to birth that vision into reality. For there's also energy around instant manifestation that is really activating right now. So you may be surprised that what you envision, what you hope to receive or to birth will come more quickly than you realize. You are prepared, yes indeed. You are ready. We are with you. Gauna sunanani wam duwandaruanda gauna sunanani wam duwandaruanda gauna sunanani wam duwandaruanda. All right. Keep me posted this week. I know there was so much that came up for people last week. It feels like there's just some kind of final clearing that's happening, like they just said, into the new moon, and then there's this beautiful energy of refresh. So and open to what the visions are, not from this place of survival or wounding or fixing, that's a big one, but really what are we feeling excited and energized, and maybe there's a little bit of fear in it, right? Because it might be creating something that's outside of our control. In fact, I'm hearing for many of us it is creating something outside of our comfort zone, but it's like we're ready and the energy is supporting us. And so a lot of these shakeups are helping us to clear out what doesn't serve us, to help us really ultimately be more empowered, and also to get clear on what we need to be empowered, including those self-care techniques, those 5 senses activation and opening to the soul senses, being more embodied through this time, but also the community. So All right, Betty, thanks so much for watching. And I know you commented more. I'll look back on those. And if anyone else, please share again what has come up for you when you watch this, when you listen to the replay. I love going back and seeing what comments there are. And if you have questions too, okay, this came in from one of our group members. So if you have questions that you want me to explore, want me to channel on, I love getting those as well. And we can weave those into what the energy is, as I did today. Okay, yes. And so local people, sound healing, we still have some spots on Wednesday night. I would love to have you. It's an all gender event. It's going to be super powerful. I'm already feeling the energy. And then also on Friday, for those that are in or local to us or want to come out, want to take a road trip, have a weekend in the Tri-Cities, I'll be doing the Seraphim Quantum Healing and Embody the Sacred Feminine 101. I'm super excited. I will also be doing that virtually. I'm hoping to get that event posted for those that are not local within the next day or so. And then also, this will be both local and virtual, starting July 10th for virtual and July 11th for people that are local. I'm going to be doing a 3-part Sacred Feminine Rite of Passage series. We're going to be doing circle every 2 weeks, starting with, I think it's the full moon in July. But we're going to be going through a rite of passage each week in circle with one another. And so we're going to be doing puberty, so maiden, puberty, mother, maiden, mother, and crone. So maiden will be puberty, mother, which will be the next one will be the pregnancy, childbirth, postpartum rite of passage, and then crone, which will be the last of the series, will be healing menopause. So we're going to be going through the rites of passage, reclaiming them for ourselves, our ancestors, future generations. This is powerful work, even if you have not gone through the rite of passage yet, or if you're never going to in this lifetime, because our ancestors have gone through all of these, including death, right? Even reclaiming the rite of passage of death, incredibly impactful, yet we have not yet died in this lifetime, okay? So, this is super powerful work. I'm really excited to be doing this series. Each one will they'll build on each other. And I'm doing this as a way to show to support many of you to feel what it is to go through multiple rites of passage in a group of women, but also leading into the next running of the Embody the Sacred Feminine course, which I'll be offering this fall. And there'll be more info to come on all of this, but just starting to just put it out there now. I know some people have already reached out saying they want to be part of the 3-part series. So let me know if you're interested, and I'll be sure to send you info, and I'll be sending stuff out to people that have joined my newsletter here soon. So we've got this, you guys. We got this. I know the energy has been intense, and it does feel like there's a lifting of it and some breath coming in as we actually head into the new moon. I'm just sending you all so much love. Thank you for watching, and bye.